So this is Sensei Ando. He has done a bit of Aikido, Taekwondo, Kung Fu, a few other things.
This is the guy who's done videos with the Swedish meatball.
I think, yeah, he has done videos with your favorite person other than the Graysons. So this is a video about knife defense. So let's see what they say about that.
And a lot of people focus on knife defense when the knife is out, or most of the videos look like this. So come at me. Right. All right, and then it's like, all right, come at me really fast. Okay, what I hate about this stuff is that it gives a false belief to people, and it's gonna get them killed. Well, anytime you have this type of training, and when you see a video like this, you gotta tell yourself this is not real, because shit doesn't happen like that. Number one, if somebody's gonna attack you with a knife, what does he have to do? He has to come into your range. Chances are the knife is gonna be concealed here, 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 either rolled in a paper, could be in a bag.
Rolled in a paper?
That's some prison shit.
Yeah, they'll take a newspaper and they'll roll a knife up in it, so it looks like a guy's just walking with a newspaper, and they'll stab you with the newspaper. The knife goes in.
If I see someone walking around with a rolled up newspaper, I feel like that's suspicious in and of itself. Who the fuck uses newspapers anymore other than like on the bus?
Like I said,
the
that's
train?
some prison shit.
So
like, do you not have BuzzFeed on your fucking phone?
So he's gotta
No.
Man, some old guys use newspaper still. I actually use it to cook. Well, not to cook, but you know.
He just sliced him with the knife backwards.
Guy's not gonna sit there for a minute and do a sparring drill with a knife. He's gonna spend maybe 4-10 seconds and he's out. So your reaction time has to be super fast. Now, what a lot of people are missing, in order to defend yourself against a knife, first of all, it's all about being proactive. It's being able to be aware to see, okay, I see the guy approaching and he's talking to me here and I can't see his hands. I could only assume he has a knife. Now,
I will say, this is definitely something that I honestly am kind of surprised is even being talked about. He is right in the sense that a lot of people talk about once you get into that situation, but not any of the fucking possible signs before that.
I mean, that's all about like the psychology is as much as the self-defense is the techniques once the psychology fails.
Yeah.
I don't know you. You're in my space. You're moving around. As I'm just concealed, and I see this, my hands are gonna come up. One hand's gonna
Get out of my safety bubble!
Jam that knife. Now, it's not gonna be a perfect trap. I'm not literally fixing to grab it. If I do, great. If not, I'm still gonna try to pin it. Right. Now, the reality.
What do you think of that, Lo, as our knife guy?
I'll be honest, I looked away for a second, so I didn't see any of it.
Oh, you son of a...
If I do, great. If not, I'm still...
Yeah.
Pinning it to the body's not too bad. Yeah. I like how he's shooting his body on the opposite side of it, so that's decent.
I like the fact that his whole thing is something that we were talking about in our guard video with we were talking about weapons, is that the best thing you can do is try and stop it before it's coming at you rather than try and block it as it comes in.
Yeah.
I would say we've done choreography for this, actually. Funny enough.
Is that every time I make a move, he makes a move. There's action, reaction.
I will say, though, if you have reasonable suspicion, goddamn, that word's escaping me today. Suspicion, yes, that they do.
English.
You're in university. You should be able to say the word suspicion.
Fuck off. But yeah, no, like if you have reasonable suspicion that they have a knife, why not just try and, you know, hit the most obvious self-defense part and just, you know, get the fuck up out of there.
Because if someone is that close to you with a knife and you turn and run, you're getting a knife in your back.
Yeah, I guess if they're just...
I get, like, look,
you know,
how...
one thing... You know, like, one thing I wish that people would talk about more with knives?
What?
They want to do all these fancy disarms. No one wants to talk about impact disarming. They want to talk about actually trying to manipulate them.
As in, like, just striking the arm until they let go?
So like a lot of times when we knife spar or stick spar, you can actually hit the forearm, and human reaction is to let go of whatever you're holding. So that's one thing we'll start doing is your first strike, hit the hand. If they go to strike at you, as soon as they go to strike at you, you actually hit the forearm to see if they'll let go. And if they don't, then you can fight for a disarm.
Mm.
But no one on YouTube seems to be talking about impact disarming. It's always just you got to manipulate their arms so you can pry it out of their hands.
Sensei Seth kind of did a video about that when he was talking about the movie trope of kicking a knife out of someone's hand, and he let a Muay Thai competitor, I think she was a Muay Thai competitor, like kick him straight in the arm, and it hurt so bad that he let go of the knife.
Yeah.
It look like 1, 2, 3. No, once I trap the knife, he's gonna start pulling. So start giving me resistance. He's gonna come here. He's gonna try to cut. I'm gonna come right over here. The knife just switched hands, right? If I'm here, what would I do? Sorry, you okay?
You see how he's just holding onto the blade, and he just
Yeah.
had to figure the knife back up.
Yeah. Because it's the surprise. He didn't know what was coming the same way you wouldn't know what was coming. He just got dragged, and his immediate response wasn't like keep this knife. His immediate response was don't fall over.
But he's not wearing drag.
Not what I meant.
We're going to get canceled one of these days.
I think we have been.
I try to trap. If he continued going, keep going. So he's serious trying to pull me down. Yeah, I'll try to grab. He's coming around. I won't let him get that knife. Again, I'd be striking, but look.
This is something. This goes into a wider thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that it's not about the technique, it's about having trained to flow with movement. That is like the most key thing for a situation like this, is being able to move when they move.
Well, it's really just about being compliant and held accountable. You don't need to sit there and actually train with someone who's just going to be compliant every single time. It's the biggest thing that we stress when knife training or stick training. If you're doing a drill on someone to disarm a knife and they're letting you get it every single time, sure, you may get the basic form for it, but you're not going to be able to actually apply it. So eventually you actually get where they are not being compliant in any shape, form, or fashion. You've got to take the knife from them while they are trying to kill you with the knife. And they have to be able to hold you accountable. So any mistake they take advantage of, they're going to stab you with, be it a wooden knife, an aluminum knife, a steel knife,
Taser knife,
etc.
Look, I'm pinning the knife. Now here's the thing. People tell me against a knife, you should run. Yes, but I need to be this many feet in an open area. Now I did this.
Let's go into what you were saying, Beast.
Where I get a lot of comments, people telling me, you're an idiot, you're gonna get people killed. Sorry about that. Yeah. And I get this comment, and what I did, and I tested it out full out, where we had one guy, the attacker here, I was here, the door was there. By the time I ran to the door, I got stabbed. So the idea that you're gonna run is not always possible. Right. Your environment is gonna play a big role with what you can do. If I'm in an elevator, start attacking like this, I can't parry in an elevator. I need to trap because I'm in a confined space. If I'm here and I could do this, then yes, I can run. If he's grabbed me and he's here, now he's grabbed me here. I don't know, I said, great example, I said to grab me, some people do this, some people grab here. He went for here, which is even more dangerous because he's controlling the neck.
That is a form of control that just no one really thinks about most of the time.
Yeah.
What happens is it becomes hard. So he starts pumping, so I gotta trap as quickly as possible. So running is not always an option. So what are the best options to get knife defense? Number one, awareness. I have the distance, I see him with a knife, here, I'm out. Two, an improvised weapon. I'm in the restaurant, a bar. There's weapons everywhere. I'll throw the glass, throw the plate, pick up the
At least you pull up.
stool, and get out. If I'm in open space, I can attack, I could parry, and use my legs and try to move.
Do you want to expand a bit on Alicia Pola and what that means?
Most of the time it just means a small stick, but we kind of use it synonymously with applying whatever you can get your hands on. So if it's used for a small stick, you can also use a closed knife for the same thing. Or what we do a lot of times is, hey, you're in a parking lot. What do you see on the ground in a parking lot? Oh, you have a phone? Use the phone. Throw the phone out. Throw the phone away. You're not going to give someone your phone. If you're going to die anyways, try to use your phone to at least lengthen your life. If you see a brick, use a brick because you can cave someone's head in with a brick. If you see a rock, use a rock. If you see a bottle, use a bottle. It's the same thing he's talking about.
My favorite quote I've heard from anyone in terms of martial arts is, if you need to defend yourself, what you need is a good pen in your pocket. Not a fucking Kubaton, because there's nothing to grip there and it's gonna hurt you.
You need to stop quoting Ains.
That's not who I was talking about.
No, that's like he legitimately just kept a pencil, and he used the pencil, the same one.
I thought he used a giant pink.
No, not on there, not on air.
Something that's used from adult stores to beat a criminal.
Confined space, I don't have a choice but to trap a knife, to trap it. Once I trap it, I either pin it to my body or his body, depending on where he moves, and I gotta strike as quickly as possible. If he grabs me here, this is a pump and grab, as I call it. This is very dangerous because what happens a lot of times, people forget about the arm and they focus here. But unless I move the arm, I'm gonna keep getting stabbed.
That actually works well because what you're doing is you're readjusting their body, so the angles they have to work, they can't generate the power that would be needed to actually kill you. And then when they have to readjust their angle, there's enough movement there for you to off balance or.
So there's no black and white, there's no foolproof system. And again, the basic to all this is when you're faced with an attacker, is you're looking at his hands. So conceal the weapon, I'll open my eyes. So if I'm here and I'm talking to him and I see this, I'm ready to move in and make sure I trap the knife as quickly as possible, right? If he's got the knife here and I'm talking to him, my hand's gonna come a little bit low to come in and jam it and strike at the same time. So this, really focus on that. So my best tip to you is when you're faced with an attacker, the first thing you do, as I'm talking to him, my hands come up. When I used to be a doorman, I used to talk to people like this. I was always like this, here, here, here. My hands were all.
Isn't one of those your favorite position to guard low?
Which?
What did he just do?
Like
Not this one.
Like this, here.
That one.
Yeah.
Here.
I fight from there a lot of times.
My hands were always up.
I don't like the ones where it's like folded under the arm or anything.
I was ready to strike and go preemptive.
You can actually trap their arm if they keep it below their elbow.
Like what you're gonna
just pin it to their body.
Wow, a lot of truth bombs in there, a lot of stuff for people to think about, especially when the knife comes out in training. Emotions seem to run a little bit higher, and your sense of mortality is really right there the whole time. So even if knife is not your thing, in a world like the one we live in, I think it's really valuable that everyone finds a little bit of time in their training to bring out a knife and even just to put it down and look at it and think about it for a second. And then to have someone actually standing across from you with that knife, even if we're just moving around a little bit and just talking in theory, you can just feel if you have your emotions are starting to change. That tells you something. You really need to take another look at this weapon and make peace with it. And once you make peace with it, hopefully then you can actually take control of it.
That's a good point. I remember the first time that we used training knives in class. Sensei brought that out, and he gave me the metal one because we have a bunch of wood ones and we had a metal one. And then there was like the first time we were literally trying to hit each other with a metal knife, and even though it was blunted, I was like, this is a weird feeling for like having never done this before.
Well, like there's the fear that's kind of ingrained in people of knives hurt, and you can either face that fear or you can run from that fear. You run from that fear, the knife's going to kill you. You face the fear, you get a 50-50 chance. A lot of times, if you were training something empty-handed that you're comfortable with, the way you get better at it is actually to put a knife in the other guy's hand. Yeah. What I mean by this is a lot of times we talk about creating the vacuum. So when you go to throw somebody or you go to move out of the way, you actually move your center line out of the way, and you're wanting to be out of their range. you can equate to that because you do Wing Chun, right?
Mm.
A lot of times our younger guys or guys who just recently started training with us, they can't wrap their heads around this when we're throwing a punch. They just don't want to move enough. They tend to kind of correct their thinking on this as soon as I put a knife in my hand, because even though
they
it can
don't
be a
wanna be
training
near
knife,
it.
they don't want to be near it. So we'll do it a couple times with the knife, and then they get used to it enough where they can do it empty-handed.
And that's the good thing with something like Eskrima or Kempo or Wing Chun, where all of your arm movements can pretty much be translated into holding a weapon. Like with Kempo, all of our movements can be translated to Noe, the Kali sticks, and Wing Chun, obviously the butterfly knives, Kali knives, machetes, sticks, whatever you're doing, man. Like the point is, like, you can, all these extra elements are already what you're doing, but there's a new layer to it, and there's extra fear, there's extra, like, even just while you're training, getting hit with a training weapon hurts more than getting hit with a fist. Getting
Oh
hit
yeah,
with
that's fair.
a stick hurts more than
Yeah.
getting punched.
Yeah, it's just common sense. There's a reason they're called force multipliers.
Mm.